Hey guys, it's Mike here, and recently on my channel, I have been doing videos discussing the biggest fan theories in the Dragon Ball franchise. Previously, I have done 2 videos in this series. Number 1 being, what is the biggest fan theory in Dragon Ball Z? Number 2, what is the biggest fan theory in the Cell Saga? You know, people like to watch that on my channel. But now, let's get into the biggest Buu Saga fan theory. I'm going to start right over here on my Discord server. For all members of the channel, starting at $1, get access to not only the Discord server, but things beyond. Voting and talking here about Majin Buu, with Xavier saying that his theory is that people didn't pay attention to the Buu Saga. What a shock. People can't cope with Kid Buu being weaker than Super Buu. Oh boy, there's that debate one more time. You know, people in the Dragon Ball community love to debate. But the thing is that, yes, so many people do constantly debate decades later about the strength between Kid Buu and Super Buu, who is more powerful between them, and it seems like it also comes down to continuity. In the manga written by Akira Toriyama, so many evidential perspectives, let's say, so much evidence, lines up with Kid Buu not being as powerful as Super Buu, with Super Buu and his absorptions being far more powerful than the original pure Buu. However, in the anime version, there is a line by Goku, which is really like, I think, the only piece of evidence, but there's still that line there by Goku that says Kid Buu is on a whole other level than the other Buus that came before. Goku did fight in the anime, not in the manga, Buu tanks, and even then, Buu tanks didn't try. I've seen so many people say, oh, wasn't Goku holding his own? No, he wasn't. He was just getting played with. So it is up in the air with the anime version, but of course, this is a debate that will never stop. No matter how many statements or guidebook entries or just rereading and watching the anime. I mean, this is the Dragon Ball fandom. We don't read or watch our own series. You know, it's a meme for a reason. But either way, we'll have to see what you guys say in the comments. I don't know if this rises to the level of a theory, but I think that Piccolo was stronger than Goten or Trunks individually. And the evidence is that when the Gotenks fusion wore off, Piccolo became the dominant fused personality. I've always believed that as well, that Piccolo is in fact more powerful than all of the Super Saiyans in that arc individually. So he is kind of between Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2 for the different powerful characters at the time. As a result, he would be more powerful than Goten and Trunks even after their time chamber visit, because after all, this is Super Namekian Piccolo who went into the time chamber in the Cell games lead up one time as far as we know. He was going from being stronger than all of the Super Saiyans before they entered the chamber, and then was one of the only 3 characters left standing after the Cell Juniors had fought them, including the tired Super Saiyan Goku at the time. And then he trained for 7 years. Sure, he doesn't have another transformation, at least until Dragon Ball Super Superhero, and he doesn't have the Saiyan benefit of, let's say, their limits constantly being adjusted based upon the arc. But he did train for 7 years intensely. He does it all the time. A lot of people seem to think that he doesn't for some weird reason, but he also lives at the lookout. So for all we know, he could have even gone into the time chamber again at some point between the 7 years. I mean, who knows how many times that Kami entered the time room. And as a result, he is also the one who made it, so maybe Piccolo actually knows some ways around that. After all, Piccolo is one of the people who, depending upon how literally you want to take, only 2 people can go into the room at once, did in fact lead 2 more people into the room with Goten and Trunks. But I've talked about that in previous videos. I agree. Piccolo is stronger than Base Son Goku and Gohan and Prince Vegeta, and stronger than them in their Super Saiyan forms, just not 2. Agreed. So the next one is that it is stating Dabura was not always as powerful as he was in the Cell Saga, well, post-Cell Saga, obviously, in the Dabura arc, yeah, right, Buu Saga, and that he actually trained for the hundreds of years between the last time they checked the Earth, which he references when Pui Pui is killed, and the time that they show up. and that he used to be significantly weaker, but got much stronger. Now, with that being said, it is an interesting theory to say that he got a lot more powerful and that Babidi actually helped him to become more powerful too. But overall, I feel like Supreme Kai wouldn't have cared anywhere near as much as he did, unless he was like explicitly following Dabura's actions that entire time if he wasn't that powerful. I mean, after all, Supreme Kai is at least somewhere in the range of Piccolo in the Buu Saga, and you can argue stronger based upon feats, for example, which I actually did in videos such as How Strong is Supreme Kai, why he was not afraid of Pui Pui, because so many people get that wrong too. That could be its own theory, and it actually is on my channel. And also Supreme Kai versus Piccolo. So 3 videos you can check out. I don't care about putting cards in this video. You guys actually can go to my channel and look at them. And, well, if you don't, you're missing out. But anyway, the real theory here is Jackie Chun. Yeah, Jackie Chun, as he's supposed to be called, but Jackie Chun, which obviously goes a little closer to the Jackie Chan reference, died off camera sometime between his final appearance in the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai in the Buu Saga. Oh yeah, obviously Jackie Chun is his own separate character that is in no way related to Master Roshi, despite having all his techniques and being called Master Roshi by other characters at various different points in time. Totally different character, and I don't know, I guess he probably just died of old age because he doesn't have eternal youth like a certain ancient immortal master. Imagine the plot twist if Master Roshi's real name was actually Jackie Chun the whole time, and Roshi was the disguise. Mind blown, right? The theory from the layman is that Frieza, Cell, or Vegeta could have accidentally blown up the Earth, or intentionally in this case, and accidentally woke up Majin Buu when they did. And that he would still be way more powerful than everything else in the universe. I've talked about this before. In fact, I did another video on my channel, which is about what if the Z Fighters blew up Babidi's ship before they actually had the opportunity for Majin Buu to be woken up. And at that point, what would have occurred is that he would have been woken up like Supreme Kai suggested, gotten out, and, well, fought everyone. How powerful would he be? Well, sometimes, or in many cases, people have argued that Buu's energy meter that he has at that point in time is in fact indicative of his power level. Thus, as a result, you could say that Majin Buu, Fat Buu in this case, his power level, or battle power, or whatever you don't want to see as BS, would be, in fact, twice or more stronger than Gohan when he was a Super Saiyan 2 and had his power drained. Considering the fact that at the time of the fight with Babidi's henchman, he was at about halfway full, and then Goku and Vegeta kind of filled him all the way back up. What occurred is that before that point, he would have been vastly weaker, right? So theoretically, if they had blown up the ship or just blown up the Earth when Buu was inside and he woke up, if it really is indicative of his power, well, then you could say, oh, well, that in turn means that Majin Buu would have woken up significantly weaker, or maybe what Supreme Kai had suggested, that he grew so weak inside the sphere, being in there for millions of years, that he evaporated before, of course, he was disproven, because Buu, can regenerate from smoke and whatever else have you at that point, just not spirit bomb damage, apparently. Hey, it beat Omega Shenron too, and he was even more magical ×7, I guess. Majin Buu could have woken up really weak and then been, well, killed by any character there. You could think maybe even Krillin and Yamcha especially would be able to beat him. Maybe even Mr. Satan for real this time with a chop, like, how he beat Super Perfect Cell. But you could also argue that that was just kind of a limiter that was on his shell that would have just been negated, let's say, or circumvented, and then he would have woken up and just, me gonna eat you up to everybody. Which would kind of be a very dark ending for everyone there. Aside from the fact that they probably all would have died when they blew up the Earth anyway. Smart thinking, Vegeta. Blow up the planet you're on when you can't survive in space except for in the filler, and then they forget about that constantly. Especially in Resurrection F. So let's go over to my other section right now on the community tab itself, in which we saw the subscribers here making their comments. It's kind of funny. The first comment I see is the last comment this guy made. So you gotta love how YouTube sorts these things. They all make sense, especially when it's not even the most liked. But hey, here we go. When Goku introduced the fusion dance, I do believe Toriyama intended that to be the way that Goku and Vegeta fused before he went to Potara. And yeah, so that is something that is either said by Toriyama in an interview or has been suggested in the past as well, that the whole reason why Vegito and Potara fusion exists and really comes out of nowhere is because the fact that Toei utilized fusion of Goku and Vegeta in, well, the Fusion Reborn, Fukatsu no Fusion movie. Thus, as a result, it led to Toriyama being like, oh, I'm not going to do the same thing that they just did because, well, obviously my stuff's better. So as a result, what am I going to do? I'm just going to create some new Deus Ex Machina out of nowhere. And considering it's literally given to Goku by the highest god at the time, I guess it makes sense. Deus Ex Machina, you catastrophe, let's go. So additionally, considering the Potara retcon now, both fusions are like 90% the same minus aesthetics. I don't disagree. Terrible retcon, which it definitely is, guys, and I have videos all about retcons on my channel that I will not be pointing to the top right about this time. Not this time. King Yama immediately reincarnated Buu because he would destroy the afterlife and found his way back to the physical universe again. Nah, because King Yama has the Yama lock. Yamu and Spopovich came back with the Dragon Balls. Nope. Yamcha specifically said that he did not want to bring back everyone that was evil. Actually, as a matter of fact, that was yet another thing that happened in the wish to bring everyone back, that Vegeta was proven to no longer be seen as evil by the dragon because he was wished back at the end as well. So, early on, the very first wish, which brought back people like Kibito, were suggested to be where you do not have evil people come back at the very end too. Now, why Captain Ginyu came back and is in Dragon Ball Super? Well, that's Toyotaro, you can ask. Trunks and Goten can turn Super Saiyan so easily because Chi-Chi and Bulma were conceiving them while Goku and Vegeta were in their Super Saiyan forms. I mean, you could make the argument about Goku during the 10 years leading up to the Cell Saga, minus years or divide by years. So let's just say 10 days, because that would be correct, leading up to the Cell Saga's Cell Games. Nailed it. Toriyama should have wrote it so that Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan were able to fight Kid Buu at the end. That's not a theory. But, you know, it could have been a better suggestion. Because it wouldn't have just been, if Goku can't do it, who can? Spirit Bomb. Are we sure that Koyama didn't actually write the ending of the Buu Saga too? That'd make a lot of sense. Toriyama calls up Koyama on the phone. He's like, hey, Koyama, I've been watching your movies lately. And first off, you should have told me if you were going to use fusion in the movie. Because I was going to do the exact same ending. How dare you? But then, also, I don't feel like writing the Buu Saga anymore. Can you write the ending? Okay, Toriyama, well, I'll have it end the way it pretty much always ends in half the movies, where the power of friendship and the spirit bomb will defeat the unstoppable evil villain. Okay, sounds good. But Broly's still stronger. And then he hangs up the phone. Beerus is probably one of, if not the most important god of destruction, based on the fact that he had 5 to 6 separate Supreme Kais, and that considering if the god Supreme Kai is killed, the god of destruction dies with them. Yeah, this is something that has been discussed several times over the course of, well, ever since Beerus and Supreme Kai's link was introduced, which is the idea and the concept that, well, why does Beerus have so many Supreme Kais to him versus the other universes that only seem to have one? Now, with that being said, you can argue it's because they completely forgot that idea when they were writing the story because they didn't actually go back and rewatch and reread everything, or they just ignored it because they thought nobody would care, but then they underestimated their own fan base. So in terms of that, you could definitely make an argument, and I also kind of like your idea of the whole cats having 9 lives thing, except for the fact that Champa still only seems to have 1, unless maybe you think the attendant to a Supreme Kai is also a Supreme Kai in training or whatever have you. After all, they had Zamasu and Kibito spar in the Goku Black manga, despite the fact that, Zamashu should be like 10 trillion times stronger than Kibito, but who cares about logic? It's Dragon Ball Super. Goten's strength is based on him having about the same potential as Gohan. He just wasn't hidden dormant like Gohan's often has been. Maybe, but at the same time, Gohan had to put in a lot of time and effort in order to become a Super Saiyan, which he didn't even do until he was like 10, 11. So I don't know about that. I wouldn't say that they have the same potential. I would just say that Goten's is more external, like you're saying, and able to be easily brought out, probably because he was trained from when he was a kid, which Goku wanted to do with Gohan, but Chi-Chi wouldn't let him, which, of course, as she said very succinctly herself, she didn't care about the Earth being destroyed as long as Gohan got to study and got to be what she was trying to force him to be since he was like 4 years old. My fan theory is that if Goku went Super Saiyan 3 against Majin Vegeta, damage done to his pride would have instantly revived Buu at full power. I don't think so, because as we saw during the previous fights, Majin Buu did not get energy unless the good guys were taking damage. So considering the fact that Goku was exhausted at that point in the fight when Buu was being revived, you can make an argument that Vegeta just dealt enough damage to Goku that it was equivalent to the damage that was taken from Gohan when they directly took his energy and put it in. So yeah. The cosmos was created from a primordial chaos, and Buu is leftover chaos trying to return creation to its original state. Yeah, so this is something else that's based on a Toriyama retcon they did in an interview years ago, where he said that Buu actually wasn't created, that he was something that existed since time immemorial, which is basically since the beginning of time, the beginning of existence, uncountable eons ago, almost like an eldritch abomination. And somehow Bibbidi, father, was able to summon him. Now, I never liked that idea. I also don't like the idea that Bobbidi is just some kind of weird multi-form clone of Bibbidi, and he helped him out during his magic, and then all this other stuff about all of Bibbidi's power returning to him and knowledge and everything, because it's very obvious that's not the case in the manga. But Toriyama liked to change things in interviews many years later, which, again, with this being one of them, never really cared for this idea, and I think it was better that Bibbidi created some monster far beyond his ability to control and basically locked him into this situation where, well, everything that occurred with the Kais and then moving forward. So yeah, because the other Kais were inside Buu so long, they became one with him and can no longer be separated. That's why we don't see them when Goku and Vegeta went inside Super Buu. Yeah, so I think this is a great idea and something that I've pretty much thought of. When Buu was sealed away in his ball again, he kind of became the essence of what Buu was, in a sense. And so everything that was within him at the time kind of got re-merged together, including the foreign bodies, let's say. Now, of course, Kid Buu still remains because he is truly Buu on the inside, but it's the essence of the combined amalgam Buu, shall we say, the fat Buu that comes out initially, and then Super Buu when it's reconfigured because the evil takes over and removes the suppression from the Kai's influence on him. But the Kais themselves no longer really exist in the sense that they used to. They are now one with the new variation of Buu, who is then left over when Kid Buu is killed. As I've discussed in videos in the past, like, why did Super Buu become Kid Buu instead of Evil Buu? Now, to be fair, they went inside of Super Buu, which was basically Evil or Kid Buu controlling all that was inside of him in terms of all the power and the absorptions, all that and so on. But they didn't go inside of Fat Buu. If they went inside of Fat Buu, for all we know, there's still the Fat Daikaioshin and the Muscular Southern Supreme Kai, but that's never happened except for in GT, and we didn't see him in there. So I kind of agree with that idea until they change it in the future. We already had the Daikaioshin changing around Buu's form to make it look like him and talking and using him and stuff like that in the Moro arc. So yeah, I mean, they might just retcon even more in the future. Not a theory, but I know people say Gohan should have ended it and the Great Saiyaman and everything. Yeah, I mean, that's up for opinion. I'm here for theories, not game theories or food theories or whatever else Matt Pat made before he retired. Mystic Gohan is more fitting because of the magic theme going on in the Buu arc. Also because the idea that seemed like Toriyama was clearly going for removal of forms, basically. Gohan no longer needs to transform. He just has ultimate now. He has his potential brought out when he just powers up like that. And Goku at the very end fights Kid Buu's reincarnation in just his base. So Toriyama was kind of throwing those forms away at that point. He was kind of saying now the characters no longer need them. They're moving past them. The stronger forms like 3 are way too problematic with energy. But of course, GT and Super decide let's have more forms because we gotta sell merchandise. Kid Buu and his possible counterparts were the original gods of destruction, but were replaced with their chaotic and violent nature. Again, I don't really think so. Toriyama never suggests that concept, that they were gods of destruction, although I have heard people speculate on this, where people just say, oh, Kid Buu or Buu should be the god of destruction. I don't think so. I think it's more that they, if you want to go with the idea that Toriyama said later on, they could be kind of like a counterbalance in a sense of the natural order of things, that things come about through unguided creation in some ways, and thus as a result there would be unguided destruction, and then Bibbidi guided him. But in terms of the fully guided top-down version of destruction, the overseers overlooking the universe that come about however they all came about, I think it makes sense to have like the bottom-up approach of the natural destruction and the top-down approach of the governed destruction of the Supreme Kai's counterpart, the god of destruction, the Hakai Shin. Fusion Reborn takes place in a universe where Gotenks beat Buu because Gohan still has his normal eyes before the ultimate power-up. It's entirely possible that actually takes place when Gohan is getting powered up. The thing is that the movies take place at impossible moments or moments that don't naturally fit in. It seems very clear when you watch Fusion Reborn that's meant to take place before Goku and Vegeta come back to life. And so, since Goku is in the afterlife, since he's battling Piccolo, he's dead, and he has Super Saiyan 3, and then he mentions that he fought Buu, I don't think that that's the case. I think that Goku is going to some tournament while Gohan is getting powered up for like the 3 hours this is happening. That Gohan is, well, taking a break from getting powered up so he can go hang out with his girlfriend and they can do their cosplay. And then it's kind of like what we see in the Broly movie. Goku and Gohan are both Super Saiyans, but they're not mastered. So it's like they stopped their training in the middle of the time chamber training, and then they decide to leave the chamber so that they would go to a parent-teacher conference, basically, so Gohan can get into a good school. I guess Chi-Chi walked into the chamber. It was like, Goku, you better not forget this exact time during this day. We have to go. How she got her way to the lookout. And why nobody mentioned this in the manga or the anime, I don't know. It's Dragon Ball. They all have bad memories. So, yeah. If Goku teleported Ultimate Gohan to Kai's plan to fight Kid Buu, Buu would have kept regenerating back from his attacks, and Spirit Bomb's the only way to kill him. I don't agree. I think that if somebody strong enough can kill him, they don't need a special technique. With that being said, I do have a whole video called Is the Spirit Bomb the Only Way to Kill Buu? Or destroy, or whatever the algorithm promotes. There's no proof that Goku and Super Saiyan 3 would have been able to beat Majin Buu. I did a whole video about that, Super Saiyan 3 Goku versus Fat Buu, that you could see on my channel. I tend to side with that because he didn't know the full extent of Buu's regeneration until he fights Kid Buu, and he's like, oh, I guess I'm wrong. Vegeta was able to hold off Kid Buu for so long and look so durable because he had increased stamina in his afterlife body. Yeah, but remember, he also gets wished back and fights him again. I think the reason why he's able to hold him off for so long is because Kid Buu is playing with him. Kid Buu can kill him in an instant, but he's not because he's Buu. He plays with people. He plays with his food even more than Frieza. And maybe Cell, but Cell had more patience. He just stood around for 10 days and occasionally killed some army guys. But other than that, you know. The Spirit Bomb didn't kill Kid Buu. When King Yama said, I hope he comes back as a good guy, he transferred Buu's essence into Oob right as he was born. That's why Kid Buu didn't regenerate. Well, then Kid Buu would have been regenerated, or he would have turned into Oob way sooner. Like, if King Yama had the ability to do this, don't you think he would have done this during the million other times that Buu got blown up to next to nothing and came back? I mean, he literally had Vegeta's reserve over on his lookout instead of sending him to hell like Piccolo said he would, so that he would in turn be able to be a last-ditch effort. So during the time when Super Buu was smoke, or a lot of these other instances, couldn't King Yema, who was watching the entire thing happen on his Yema TV or whatever it is, have just done the exact same thing? I'll let you decide. That ad where Goten Trunks turned into a Ford Fusion scan, sure. Buu is some sort of probability controllability? Okay. Mr. Satan and Dabura were once one person but split. Same thing with Spike the Devil Man. I'd love to hear about the one that even attempts at explaining the reason why Goku instinctively or literally did a video about this, man. Well, check out my channel, man. Well, a theoretically Gokhan Patara fuse would have been enough to give Beerus a decent challenge if the old 70% estimation power was accurate pre-retcon. Well, that's all based on how you scale everything in that movie, I suppose. I know the consensus and even the story itself says that Majin Buu is much weaker than Super Buu, but I think the alternate interpretation is cool too. They actually have the same power, it's just Super Buu can consistently access the power while Majin Buu. I did a whole video about this talking about Super Buu's strength and why he's far more powerful than you could believe, I suppose, whatever the title is now. Hey, it's YouTube. You gotta change those titles, those thumbnails, you gotta beat the algorithm somehow, no matter how many times it kicks you when you're down. This is a question, not a theory, but did Buu get Zenkais? No, he's not a Saiyan. Oh, after absorbing the Saiyans. No, or else he would have easily beaten Vegito. That Goku and Vegeta were strong enough to defeat Majin Buu after he revived was the one thing that saved Buu was his OP generation. I mean, no, I don't agree. Buu never tried until he fought against evil Gray Wrath Buu, but even then, no, I don't think that they stood any chance. Goku himself said that both of them together wouldn't have won. Buu is the best character in DBZ, hands down. Nope, Buu is originally the strongest being, but is far past his prime. There's zero indication he ever aged or anything. It's never told to us that he can die of old age or that he gets weaker. His purest form looks like a child. So, yeah, I don't really align with that. If Kid Buu had been trained to be good from the get-go, could he become the most powerful of the Buus? Well, yeah, because he would have trained. And using modern logic, guess what? He would have been so strong after 4 months, he'd be beating Super Saiyan Blues. Times whatever Buu's potential is. Whatever they're going to try and tell us that Oob's potential is now completely too late because he's completely irrelevant. But by the way, Kid Buu, he has God Ki because he absorbed the Fat Kaioshin. Even though that's not how absorption works, and even though he's supposed to be your pure Buu, and even though we saw that the Dai Kaioshin barely had any God Ki left at the start of the very same arc where they said this because he used most of it in order to seal away Moro. And if it actually was very strong, then he would have easily and effortlessly defeated Kid Buu and never gotten absorbed in the first place. None of this makes any sense. Kid Buu wasn't actually pure evil. He just was very powerful and acts like a kid going around destroying things for fun. That's why Grey Buu, who is pure evil, comes out when Buu separates. I already talked about that in a video where it is that Wrath, Grey Buu, Evil Buu, Skinny Buu, whatever you want to call him, is the evil of the combined version, not of the original Buu. Little kids usually don't go around slaughtering entire civilizations and blowing up planets and stuff like that. What is he, Broly? Super Buu gained intelligence and wasn't dumb like Fat Buu anymore because he rewired his mind so that South Kai's mind and strength were more prevalent. You can maybe say something like that, but I don't think so. I mean, in the manga, at the very least, you could see that what occurred is that Fat Buu is actually getting stronger, or smarter rather, over time during the Buu Saga, learning way more complex speech and everything else along those lines. So the reason why only Gotenks and Goliath can learn Super Saiyan 3, Goliath, what is this, gargoyles? Is the fact that they were non-existent people in non-existent places when they did it. I mean, sure. Majin Buu, Fat Buu, enjoyed being evil, but learned that it was possible to enjoy life just like Android 16, while being good, and eventually learned that it's nice to receive gratification from good deeds rather than just selfish pleasure. Also, Super Saiyan 3 would have lost. So, already mentioned that second part. And yeah, one of the fun things, I suppose, about Buu when he's meeting with Mr. Satan is the realization that, to kill is actually a bad thing, so I won't do it anymore. So, It's possible that over time he learned that as well, but I do think that it was also the fact that he didn't even have that basic morality instilled in him, and as a result, was not able to figure it out on his own. But Mr. Satan, funny enough, was the one who helped a guy become good, and then helped to save the world while they were all chanting his name. Makes you think. But with that being said, guys, make sure to stick around after telling me what is your ultimate Buu Saga fan theory, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Yeah, and you better subscribe.